ancient African proverb warns, when the watering hole shrinks, the animals look to new horizons. Today, this wisdom is unfolding in West Africa in a way that could transform the continent forever. Imagine controlling vast mineral wealth, gold, uranium, cotton, yet being completely cut off from the world markets by your own neighbors. This is the reality of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, three rich resource nations strangled by sanctions and geography. But what if I told you that Morocco, a nation that is over 1,000 miles away, have just thrown these countries an economic lifeline that could rewrite the balance of power in Africa? This is the story of Morocco's $12 billion desert port gamble, a modern Silk Road that bypasses traditional colonial routes and has the potential of reshaping the future of an entire continent. This is, as always, for the Strategic Lens, taking you beyond the headlines to understand how nations truly wield power. And we are starting right now. To understand the brilliance of Morocco's strategy, we first need to grasp the desperate situation facing the Sahel. In 2023 and 2024, military juntas took control over Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Their neighbors in ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, responded with devastating sanctions. These sanctions weren't just diplomatic slap to the wrist, but they were economic strangulation. Trade costs surged by 35 to 40%. Essential supplies couldn't get in. Exports couldn't get out. For landlocked nations dependent on coastal neighbors for access to global markets, this was catastrophic. But here is where geography becomes destiny. These three nations, they share something crucial. They are all landlocked. For any container to get into the country or go out of the country, it needs to pass through another country. And that is when Morocco saw an opportunity that changes everything. How can a nation give access to an ocean it doesn't border? 1,200 miles northwest of the Sahel crisis, Morocco was planning something extraordinary. Morocco is building the Dakhla Atlantic Port, a $12 billion mega project that is set to become Africa's major gateway to Atlantic trade. Now, this is not any kind of port. It's a complete ecosystem, a 16-meter deep commercial basin, dedicated fishing facilities, industrial zones, logistic hubs, and crucially, direct access to landlocked Sahel states. Morocco is creating an entirely new trade corridor that completely bypasses ECOWAS. Through agreements with Mauritania, they are establishing a 2,200-kilometer route that will connect the Sahel directly to global shipping routes. The impact, transit time to an Atlantic Ocean, is going to drop from 14 days to 5 days. At first, before this crisis, the Sahel states will use 14 days to get to an Atlantic port, which is along the coast of West Africa. I'm talking about countries like Benin, Nigeria, Ghana, and all those countries. But then, ECOWAS used its own teeth to bite its own hands. And now, the Sahel states have had a better opportunity. They've had a better option. Morocco saw this problem and hopped in onto it. This tells us something very crucial. Whenever we have problems, we should know that the biggest opportunities are around. Morocco saw this big opportunity and hopped on it, and it's going to make a lot of money. We're going to go into that shortly. So not only does the travel time reduce, but the cost of transportation also drops by 30%. But I want you to understand something. This is not about transportation facility or transportation efficiency. No, this video is not about transportation efficiency. This is about Morocco positioning itself as the gatekeeper of all the resources in the Sahel. What does Morocco gain from this massive investment? Morocco's strategy represents geopolitical chess at its finest. Let's analyze the different layers of this strategic masterstroke. First, Morocco's port is being built in Dakhla, a city in Western Sahara, territory that Morocco claims, but that remains internationally disputed. By developing massive infrastructure here and making it essential to regional trade, Morocco strengthens its claim to the territory. Second, this move effectively surrounds Morocco's rival in the region, Algeria. Algeria backs the independence movement in Western Sahara and has historically supported the Sahel. By creating this corridor, Morocco isolates Algeria diplomatically and economically. The third layer, the timing is impeccable. In July 2024, France officially recognized Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara, a dramatic shift that gives international legitimacy to this project. This French endorsement didn't happen in isolation. Last year, Morocco demonstrated its regional influence by mediating the release of 4 French intelligence officers held in Burkina Faso, showcasing its new role as power broker in the Sahel. At first, France didn't support Morocco's claim to the Western Sahara, but because France wanted something in return, France recognized Morocco's claim to Western Sahara. That's international relation for you. Is Morocco becoming the new colonial power in Africa? The economic implications of this corridor are staggering. For the Sahel countries whose economies are dependent on their natural resources, this corridor is like a lifeline. Mali's gold represents 18% of its GDP. Niger's uranium provides 7.5% of its economy. Burkina Faso's cotton sustains over 600 farmers. With the new corridor, experts project a $3 billion in new trade potential that will grow exponentially in the following years. An 85% increase in Morocco's Sahel trade by 2030. Did you get that? 85% increase in trade volume. That is very huge. And if this relationship between Morocco and the Sahel states continues, it is obvious that with time, ECOWAS will solve their problem that they have with the Sahel states. And after that problem has been solved, Morocco will not only be targeting the Sahel states. Listen, below the Sahel states are other coastal countries in West Africa. Morocco will have easy access to all those countries beneath. So it's a very huge market, a population of about 480 million people. So Morocco is going to go big on this because Morocco's economy, of course, is the most diverse when you compare Morocco with those countries on the coast and with Sahel states. So obviously Morocco has an advantage, and with the African Continental Free Trade Area, the custom duties among these countries is almost going to get to zero. This corridor is also going to bring some 150,000 jobs in the region. So for Morocco, the benefits extend far beyond trade fees. Morocco already controls over 70% of global phosphate reserves, essential for global food production. By adding control over Sahel mineral exports, Morocco becomes an indispensable player in multiple global supply chains. Now, I want to add something to this. Morocco has been predicted already to be a superpower in about 50 years from now, because there is something that Morocco has that the whole world doesn't have: phosphates. Now, some people really underestimate the use of phosphate or the importance of phosphates. It is due to modern agriculture that the population of the world has increased the way it has increased over the past years. But then, as the population increases, the same minerals that helped the population to increase are depleting. Now, Fertilizer is made from phosphates. Nitrogen and potassium can be produced synthetically and so are not critical in the production of fertilizer, but phosphates cannot be produced synthetically. It has been estimated that some few decades from now, all the world's phosphate will deplete while Morocco stands tall. This gives Morocco a superpower status on par with superpowers like the US and China. China has about 5% of the world's global reserve of phosphates, and China has already banned the export of phosphate from China because, of course, they've already seen the figures. It's written on the wall. So whoever dances with Morocco is fine. Whoever is friends to Morocco feeds or eats. And that is why the Western Sahara, which has a very huge chunk of these minerals, is being disputed. The world doesn't want Morocco to claim that land. But I want you to think about what this means on a human level. For the millions of citizens in these four nations, this corridor represents something far more profound. Economic sovereignty. Can infrastructure reshape geopolitical destiny? What makes this story even more fascinating is that it's actually the revival of something ancient. For centuries, the trans-Saharan trade routes connected North Africa to West Africa and also beyond. Gold, salt, and knowledge flow through these Saharan highways before colonial powers redirected these routes to the oceans. That's the Atlantic Ocean. Morocco's corridor isn't creating something new. It's reclaiming something old. It's restoring natural trade routes. It's restoring natural trade patterns that existed for millennia before European intervention. The parallels to China's Belt and Road Initiative are striking. Both seek to reshape trade flows through massive infrastructure. Both challenge Western-dominated trade routes. But there is a crucial difference. This is an African solution to African challenges. Is this the beginning of true African economic independence? Despite its potential, the road to this new Silk Road is fraught with obstacles. The Sahel region hosts about 10,000 jihadist fighters. Security is somehow fragile. Building and protecting infrastructure across one of the world's most difficult terrain is no small feat. Then there is a reaction from bypassed Western African countries. Will Nigeria, the region's economic giant, accept this new reality, or will it find ways to undermine it? And what about great powers? France may have recognized Morocco's claims to Western Sahara, but Russia has deepened its military presence in the Sahel. China has its own infrastructure ambitions across Africa. Finally, there is the shared technical challenge. The Dakhla Port won't be operational fully until 2029. The road and rail connections through harsh terrain will take years to complete. Who will control Africa's resources in the 21st century? For too long, Africa's resources have flowed through routes designed during the colonial era, benefiting former colonial powers. There is a reason why the Sahel states have been relatively poorer than the other states around it. Morocco's corridor represents something different. African countries collaborating, creating new pathways for prosperity. If successful, this model could be replicated across the continent. Other landlocked nations like Chad, South Sudan, and Uganda could forge similar partnerships with coastal neighbors. What Morocco understands and what makes this strategy so brilliant is that in the 21st century, controlling access routes is often more valuable than controlling territory itself. Is this the blueprint for a new Pan-African economic order? An African proverb teaches us, when spider web unites, they can tie up a lion. Morocco's strategic vision in connecting the Sahel to global markets isn't just about ports and highways. It's about weaving new webs of economic interdependence that could fundamentally alter the balance of power in Africa. We may be witnessing the birth of a new economic geography in Africa, one built not on colonial boundaries but on strategic partnerships and mutual benefit. So the question is not whether Africa will transform. The question is, who will lead the transformation? And Morocco has already placed its $12 billion bet. How will Africa's new economic corridors reshape global power in the decades ahead? This is the strategic lens. If you want to understand how nations wield power across the world, press the subscribe button and join our community. Until next time.